Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskaram. Welcome to yet another lecture from the course titled History, Evolution and Development of Kuchipudi Natyam. Last lectures we were discussing about Siddhendra Yogi, the different legends that are attached to Siddhendra Yogi. And now we will be learning about Bhama Kalapam, the Kalapa Prakriya, and everything that is related to the Bhama cult. Well, this is my personal favorite as a Kuchipudi dancer and not just as an academician, because performing Satyabhama is close to every woman's heart. We connect to Satyabhama on various levels and layers. Everything is so honest about Satyabhama. She is like a piece of white paper. So all the emotions are so clearly seen in her character. She never pretends to be someone else. Satyabhama is truly a Satya, which is truth, Bhama. This Bhama Kalapam, a magnum opus authored by the saint poet and the father of Kuchipudi, Siddhendra Yogi, has become an instrument to propagate, promote and popularize the Kuchipudi Natyam in all the horizons. There is no dance teacher who doesn't teach Bhama Kalapam. There is no Kuchipudi dancer with a minimum of 10 years of experience who has not learnt at least one small piece of Satyabhama. There are so many dancers and gurus all over the world, past and present, who are known for their impersonation of Satyabhama character. In fact, there are instances where when these young male Brahmin Kuchipudi performers who donned the role of Satyabhama and the audience actually thought that it was a woman performing, and even marriage proposals came to them. And when they went to the green room to meet this Satyabhama actor, they were surprised to know that it is a man. Many Kuchipudi dance gurus and performers over the years have dedicated their entire lives to understand and portray the character of Satyabhama. That is the power of Satyabhama in the Kuchipudi dance pantheon. But before learning about Satyabhama, her characterization and the Bhama Kalapam plot, let us first understand what is this Kalapa Prakriya that Siddhendra Yogi has initiated into the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition, which is very exclusive to this dance form. The word Kalapam in Sanskrit means something that holds many single parts together. Like the darus, padyas, shlokas, kandardhas, there are so many literary genres that are present in the Kalapa Prakriya. So Kalapam is more like a thread that is connecting many beads together, which is the meaning in the Samskrita language. But in Telugu, Kalapam means either an ornament, an assemblage which is putting together like in Sanskritam, or playing a character. Well, all these things, or rather all these definitions, suit exactly what is a Kalapam in the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition. Definitely Bhama Kalapam is a crescent jewel in the entire structure of the Kuchipudi Natyam. Many a times people get confused understanding that Bhama Kalapam and Parijata Paharanam are used very interchangeably. If you remember the earlier lectures that I have given about Siddhendra Yogi, there are many instances that Siddhendra Yogi is ascribed to the authorship of Parijata Paharanam. Is Parijata Paharanam and Bhama Kalapam the same? Can the names be used interchangeably? Well, we'll discuss that in this lecture also. Parijata Paharanam is basically a story where Satyabhama, who is the consort of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, is very angry on her husband Krishna that she didn't get the gift of Parijata flower from him. Now this is told by none other than Narada, the Kalahabhoja, to Satyabhama. Then Satyabhama demands Krishna that she has to get the Parijata flower. Now Krishna, to get the Parijata flower, which is in the Swargaloka under the supervision of Lord Indra, wages a war on Indradeva to get the Parijata tree. Later, the battle is continued by Satyabhama, and seeing her valor and courage, Indra is very impressed and gives her the Parijata tree through Bhagavan Sri Krishna. This is the Parijata Paharanam story on a very superficial level. There are many Parijatas that are composed and not the one just by Narayana Tirtha or according to some legends Siddhendra Yogi. So basically one has to understand that Parijata, which is a celestial flower, is probably a common name that is given to all the literary texts in which Krishna, Satyabhama, Rukmini and Narada Kalaha is mentioned. Sometimes what people do, it is something called as popular culture in the contemporary times. Something which is very popular is constantly used. It is like, let's say, suppose a film actor, an actress more so very specifically, uses a particular kind of dress or a hairstyle which becomes very popular. So what does the young generation do? They try to copy it or use the same thing because it is already popular and trending in our Instagram language, right? And this also holds the same to the Samskrita and the regional language texts also. Let's say suppose a text is very popular. People constantly try to use that text because it is happening in the audience. The acceptance in the audience is already there, number one. Number two, the names become very catchy, right? So when the names become very catchy, it is very easy for the audience to understand what actually they would be expecting in that story. That might be the reason, according to many scholars, that many of the texts in which Krishna cult is spoken about, along with the characters of Satyabhama and Rukmini, those librettos were commonly named as Parijata. This doesn't mean that Bhama Kalapam and Parijata Paharanam are of the same story. Bhama Kalapam is entirely different from Parijata Paharanam, though sometimes the names are interchangeably used for the popular culture basis, as we have already understood. So Sri Nataraja Ramakrishna Garu also opines that the common name to Krishna and Satyabhama stories have been termed as Parijatam. And not just the storyline, but even the number of characters. For a Kalapa Prakriya to be performed or a Kalapam to be performed, the maximum number of characters is 2 or 3. That's all. The number of characters in a Kalapam should not be more than 3 at any point of time. But in Parijata Paharanam, unlike the Kalapa Prakriya, you have Krishna, you have Rukmini, you have Satyabhama, you have Narada and some minor dancers or actors on the stage. So Parijatapaharanam is a Samskrita or a Telugu opera, but not a Kalapa Prakriya. The names are only interchangeably used because of the popular culture belief. So we have understood that in a Kalapa Prakriya, there are Darus, Padyas, Kandardhas, Shlokas, and many other literary genres put together, tied as a necklace, where Kalapam is like a thread. And it has a maximum number of 2 to 3 characters and not more than that. And usually it is in a single plot. It doesn't have multiple plots as a complex story put together. Usually the plot is only one in a Kalapam. Coming to Bhama Kalapam, which is the very first Kalapam that Siddhendra Yogi has authored, that is a fictional story. You don't find the story of Bhama Kalapam neither in the Mahabharata, nor in the Bhagavata Purana, nor in any Purana where the Vishnu stories or the Krishna stories are concerned. In fact, in Mahabharata also, you don't see a lot of emphasis on the character of Satyabhama. She is the daughter of Satrajittu and one of the 8 wives of Krishna, and her little characterization. But when you see Bhama Kalapam, there is an extremely important emphasis on the entire character of Satyabhama to such an extent that an entire title of the libretto is named by her actual name, Bhama. Alright, so this Bhama Kalapam is purely a fictional story that has been conceived by the father of Kuchipudi, Siddhendra Yogi. Now after Bhama Kalapam, and with the huge success of the Kalapa Prakriya by the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition, another immediate Kalapam has come into picture, which is Golla Kalapam by one Bhagavatula Ramaya Garu. Golla Kalapam has only 2 characters, which sticks to the rules and regulations of the Kalapa Prakriya. In the Golla Kalapam, we only have a Sutradhara and a Golla Bhama. And the entire story is on a single plot where they discuss about the fundamental realities of the existence of life. And this Golla Kalapam is also philosophically called as Atma Yajnam. The deepest of the deepest philosophies concerning the creation and the biological creation of human beings is discussed through this Golla Kalapam. After Bhama Kalapam lectures, we shall delve into the details of the Golla Kalapam. And after Golla Kalapam, we have another traditional Kalapam called as Dhurjati Kalapam, which was authored by Sri Vedantam Parvatisham Garu, who also belongs to the traditional families of Kuchipudi. And then we have another Uma Kalapam that is authored by Sri Vedantam Ramalinga Shastri Garu, who is also from the Kuchipudi traditional families. So, was Kalapam only composed by the Kuchipudi traditional families apart from, of course, the progenitor Siddhendra Yogi? No. After the Kalapa Prakriya has come into existence, after the success of the Kalapa Prakriya at several points of time in the history, starting from the Bhama to the Golla to the Dhurjati, there were many other Kalapams that have also come into picture, like the Vankayala Vari Kalapam, Chintalapati Vari Kalapam, Kasinkota Vari Kalapam, etc. There are many Kalapams who have come into picture, but have not survived over a period of time. But it was Bhama Kalapam, undoubtedly, which is the most famous and the most successful among all the Kalapams that ever existed. With due respects to all the Kalapams that have always come into picture, and with due respects to all the authors who have composed different Kalapams, Bhama Kalapam has almost an uninterrupted history of at least 500 to 600 years. Audience, never get bored of watching a Bhama Kalapam. But of course, one thing has to be accepted. The duration of the Bhama Kalapam has reduced considerably because the attention span of the audience and the entertainment modes that are available to the audience have rapidly changed over a period of time. For how many days or nights was Bhama Kalapam performed? For how many hours is it performed now? Well, we'll discuss in the second part of the Bhama Kalapam lecture. Kalapam demands that both the Sutradhari and the main character are adept in both singing and dancing. This is a very, very important factor for the Kalapa Prakriya, because dance drama traditions like Kuchipudi require the dancers to also sing by themselves and also tell their own dialogues, which means that they should be good not just in dancing and their technique of the body, but they should also be experts in singing and very adapted with the regional language that they speak. Now in Bhama Kalapam, one very important thing is that the entire story is focused only on one character, because there are hardly 2 to 3 characters. One is of course the main character. The second one is the Sutradhari, who is the person who conducts the entire performance, who does the Natuangam. And in the Kalapa Prakriya, the Sutradhari is also a part of the character. In Bhama Kalapam, the person who plays the Madhavi role is the Sutradhara for the entire Bhama Kalapam. So, the actors of the Kalapa Prakriya should be adept both in dancing, music, and also speaking out the dialogues, so their language and diction and the clarity has to be extremely fine and well tuned. One more important thing about the dance drama traditions is that whenever dance dramas are presented, they just don't blindly recite the dialogues that they have by hearted, which is in the text of the Kalapam or the Yakshaganam. Let's say a Yakshagana performance or a Kalapa performance is happening. Now, in between the dialogues, they also talk about certain social conditions that needs to be spoken in the public gathering. It's like a satire that they make on the social conditions. They also sometimes talk with the audience who are sitting there, who are well known to the actors. They say, "Oh, I am so happy to see you sitting in the audience." When Satyabhama is very shy to tell the name of her husband, as goes the old South Indian tradition, where the wives were not allowed to tell the name of the husband, or rather feel very shy to tell the name of the husband, Madhavi persistently asks her, "What is the name of your husband?" Then Satyabhama says, "Oh, lady sitting in the audience, don't you think it's right that I should tell the name of my husband? Should I tell? Will you tell the name of your husband? We are very shy, right?" So this is how they also interact with the audience. There is a sort of spontaneous improvisation that the actors do, they keep the audience engaged with them. Sometimes they say, "Oh, 10 days back the village head said that he would get water from somewhere. He didn't get water. Still I'm feeling thirsty, so maybe I cannot walk." This is not part of the Bhama Kalapam story, but it's a sort of satire that they are throwing to the village headman, that you promised us something and you didn't give it. You understand? These are just random examples that I'm giving you. So in a Kalapa Prakriya or a Yakshagana Prakriya, especially in dance drama traditions like Kuchipudi, it's very important that you have the capability of doing a spontaneous improvisation, which shows the maturity of the actor in terms of language, music, diction, and the presence of mind, very importantly. Now, just in the Andhra region, there were 4 types of Kalapams that were present. Of course, the Kuchipudi Bani Kalapam, which belongs to the Krishna district, the Kotakonda Bani Kalapam, which belongs to the Kurnool district, the Devadasi Bani Kalapam, which belongs to both the Godavari, East and West Godavari districts, and the Turpubani Kalapam, which belongs to the northern coastal Andhra, northeast coast Andhra, the Srikakulam, Vijayanagaram, that belt which borders the Orissa state. Many features of Yakshaganams like the Daruvus, Padyas, Shlokas were derived and kept in the Kalapam or used in the Kalapam. So a lot of influence of the Yakshaganas is also there on the Kalapa Prakriya. Both Kalapam and Yakshaganam are a literary mode performative genres. They are not just performative genres or music genres or literary genres. They are all put together. It's more of a dramatic genre, both the Kalapam and the Yakshaganam. There are many Bhama Kalapam librettos that have come, not just Siddhendra yogis. Alright. But the Bhama Kalapam that the Kuchipudi people perform, which they believe it to be authored by Siddhendra yogi, they feel that it's a spiritual mission by the Siddhendra yogi through Bhama Kalapam. So Siddhendra yogi wanted to inculcate that Krishna Bhakti in his audience, in the society. So through the character of Satyabhama, he showcased the common man and his sufferings, his ego, his pride, and his pining to be one with the Paramatma. When the entire society is Prakriti, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is the Purusha. So through the character of Satyabhama, we look at ourselves and understand how to reach the Parabrahma Swarupa or the Paramatma or the Purusha Padartha, which is Bhagavan Sri Krishna. And why did he choose Satyabhama? Well, Satyabhama doesn't fit the very humble, meek, saintly women. Usually, when we talk about spirituality, we expect people who are spiritually inclined to be very calm, composed, humble, meek, and very balanced. We kind of expect them to be like that. But for a spiritual inclination, Siddhendra yogi never chose a personality who was like this. He chose a personality like Satyabhama, who was very pride, valorous, courageous, full of ego. She knew that she was beautiful. She knew that she was rich. She knew that she had the love for Krishna entirely to herself. But he chose Satyabhama because the entire Prakriti is like Satyabhama. When you showcase someone who's already balanced and composed, people would say, he's balanced, so it's easy for the spiritual journey. For me, it's difficult. No. We are also like Satyabhama. We also are connected similarly like Satyabhama. So if Satyabhama could attain Krishna, we can also attain Krishna. That is the reason why Valmiki also in Ramayana showcases Rama only as a human king. Valmiki never tells in his Ramayana that Rama is a god. Because if Rama is a god and Rama could do so much, people will say, because he is God, he could do that. I am a human, I cannot do it. Valmiki said, Rama is a human king. If a human king can do all this, walk in the path of dharma, then you can also walk in path of dharma. The examples that the Puranas and the Itihasas have set are for the humans to walk on the right path. So they have shown godly characters are also as mere humans because they form as an example to us to walk in that way. So Satyabhama is exactly like me, exactly like all of us. She knows her strengths, she knows her qualities, and she has to shed away all those things to just attain the Paramatma. So it's easy for us to connect to Satyabhama. Now the Bhama Kalapa text which is generally used is believed to be written by Mangu Jagannatha Kavi, or rather edited by Mangu Jagannatha Kavi, with a few pieces of Siddhendra Yogi's works which are still preserved. The entire text of Bhama Kalapam is not exactly what Siddhendra Yogi has authored. There are a lot of additions, deletions in the text of Bhama Kalapam, and many librettos have come. And before that, many oral traditions are also there in the folk community. The folk community also tried their hands in performing Bhama Kalapam. The Devadasis also performed Bhama Kalapam. What are the different librettos that are there? Gudimetla Ramayya, Vankayala Balarama Bhukta, Chavvuri Enkayya Dasu, Mutnuri Narasimha Shastri, Adhikarla Surya Narayana and others. All these people have written librettos on Bhama Kalapam. Alright, but what we actually use is certainly an edition with a few pieces of Siddhendra Yogi's work and of course Mangu Jagannatha Kavi's work and also few editions of Vedantam Parvatisham Garu, a great scholar and a guru from the traditional families of Kuchipudi. And coming down the line, in the Vempati Chinnasatyam Master Garu's Bani also, there were many editions that were done by Sri Bhujangarai Sarma Garu. And many deletions that were also purposefully for the cosmopolitization purpose done by Master Garu also. We'll see to that when we come to the next lecture. The Devadasis, as I said before, also presented the Bhama Kalapam, and the popularity of this Krishna Bhakti and the Satyabhama portrayal has attracted all the communities. We also see a Navajanardhana Parijatam, which was composed on the exact lines of Bhama Kalapam by the temple dancers community, which is also extremely famous, which is performed in the Andhra Natyam genre. This is also based on the Bhama Kalapam Prakriya or the plot. Mangu Jagannatha Kavi's work got published in 1913, and he himself in the work has said that this has been composed by Siddhendra Yogi and my work is also being added. This is told by Mangu Jagannatha Kavi. The manuscripts were published in 1913 and the manuscripts are available in the Oriental Museum in Chennai. Alright. Now, the Sangeeta Natak Academy framed a committee to rather do a version of Bhama Kalapam, the text of Bhama Kalapam that could be used, because there were so many librettos and people were just getting confused as to what has to be used, what is authentic. So the Central Sangeeta Natak Academy has framed a committee of scholars to research and delineate and discuss and debate about what pieces are actually a part of the Bhama Kalapam, what are later additions which are not traditionally a part of Bhama Kalapam or don't go with the Kalapa Prakriya or the plot that was conceived by Siddhendra Yogi. And this was done under the supervision of Sri Banda Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu, a great scholar of the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition, not a dancer but a scholar who was also very instrumental in getting the classical status to the Kuchipudi dance drama tradition and also the setup of the Siddhendra Kalakshetra in the Kuchipudi village. When we talk about other personalities of Kuchipudi in the upcoming lectures, we shall also talk about Sri Banda Kanakalingeshwar Rao Garu. As I said before, another libretto was also published by Sri Vedantam Parvatisham Garu, which is also very famous and is used by the traditional families of Kuchipudi when they perform Bhama Kalapam. There are many verses by Mukku Timmana, Kshetrayya and Muddu Palani that Vedantam Parvatisham Garu added into the Bhama Kalapam text that he has composed or edited. And he himself mentions in the preface that I have added the verses by Timmana, Kshetrayya and Muddu Palani. So Bhama Kalapam more so is like so many pieces put together that talk about the Bhama Bhakti or the Madhura Bhakti and the Krishna cult and the philosophy of Jivatma pining to reach the Paramatma. Since the Bhama Kalapam belongs to around 14th century with the legends that we have understood in the last lecture, there are many chances of the text being changed over the centuries by anonymous performers. Because these things, more than from a documentational purpose, are passed on through oral traditions. Now, oral traditions, what happens? There are many additions anonymously happening, many deletions anonymously happening, sometimes which are not so much documented, literally on a pen and paper or on a manuscript. So what happens? There are so many additions and deletions that happen. Balantrapu Rajnikanta Rao Garu, who is an authority on musical traditions of Andhra, he quotes extensively from the palm leaf manuscripts of Bhama Kalapam attributed to Siddhendra Yogi, which are found in the Oriental Library in Chennai. This we have already discussed before. Bhama Kalapam is a Shringara Prabandha. It is a text, it is a literature, it is a libretto where Shringara is the major element of it. Now tell me something, you're talking about the deepest of the deepest philosophies that life requires, but you're quoting it with Shringara. It's like a mother giving a child the medicine. So what my grandmother used to do when I was very small, I never used to swallow tablet. That was a very challenge to me. So my grandmother found a solution. She used to take 2 spoons, crush the tablet, put little water, make it into a syrup kind of thing and give me. And I used to run because I don't like the taste of the tablet. So what she used to do, she used to sprinkle some sugar on that so that the medicine gets into my body. Bhama Kalapam is just like that. The philosophy that we need to understand is like the medicine which is very, very not tasty. Alright. But the Shringara is like the sugar coating. People get attracted to the Shringara. They are excited to see Shringara. They are in awe of the characters of Satyabhama and Krishna and the love that she talks about. But the Shringara Prabandha is only talking about philosophy, which at the end they understand that this is how we have to be. This is how the Jivatma has to realize the Paramatma. That is the beauty of Bhama Kalapam. And in the Shringara Prabandha, especially, it is the Vipralambha Shringara, which means the hero and the heroine are separate. If the hero and the heroine are together, it is Sambhoga Shringara. If the hero and the heroine are not together, separate, physically separate, then it is Vipralambha Shringara. So, Bhama Kalapam is a Vipralambha Shringara Prabandha. And it belongs to the Uparupakam of Sri Gaditam. What is Sri Gaditam? Sri Gaditam is a minor drama type where Sri means Lakshmi and Gaditam means she conversing to her friend about the characteristics of her hero, which is Vishnu. King Bhoja in his Shringara Prakasha explains about Sri Gaditam, which is Lakshmi talking about the qualities of her hero Vishnu to her friend. Bhama Kalapam exactly follows the format of Sri Gaditam because Satyabhama is talking to her friend or confidant or Sakhi Madhavi about the greatness of the Krishna. So Bhama Kalapam follows the libretto of Sri Gaditam. Yes, she is a Virahotkanthita because she is pining for the love of Krishna. She is separated from him and she is a Vipralabdha. Why she is a Vipralabdha? Because she feels that Krishna has cheated her. She feels that leaving her, he has gone to Rukmini and staying with her. So Satyabhama is a Virahotkanthita and a Vipralabdha, and the similar condition is also explained in Abhinava Bharati by Abhinava Gupta using the term Siddhaka. So this is all about the Kalapa Prakriya and the technicalities of it, and about a little about Bhama Kalapam, and we shall see more about Bhama Kalapam in the next lecture. Until then, Namaskaram.